Hey guys, how you doing? Welcome back to another week of math. So as I said last week, this week we're going to be continuing with fractions, and this week we're going to be comparing fractions. We're going to be showing which fraction is bigger, which fraction is smaller, or if they are equal to each other. And so I'm going to show you a variety of strategies to solve the problem, but always remember, you can always draw a picture on paper, and that's a sure way to see the visual picture if that's what you need to do. That is just fine. So we are going to start out with the first activity. This is the first page you're going to find on the Google slideshow. It's comparing fractions. And so the part I like about this paper is that if you remember last week, I gave you the fraction strips paper. You can still use that. All right, so you can have that handy. I'll make sure it's on that Google slideshow for you again, so you can print another copy if you want or just look at it. But I like this one because you can color the bars. So for example, it says 2/3 is compared to 5/6. So what they want you to do, what you could do is color in 2/3 on the first row and then color in 5/6 on the second row. And as always, the answer key will be there for you, but they'll show you kind of what it looks like. So they want you to color it in. And that way you can visually see which is bigger, which is smaller. And so we're going to be comparing fractions with less than, greater than, and equal to. We have to figure out which sign has to go in the circle. So because you can color on your worksheet, I did not put the fraction strips on this big board. I just put the two fractions. So I'm going to show you a couple other ways you can solve the problem. Remember those fraction blocks that I had last week? I could use those. So if you had something like that, you could use those. So it says 2/3. So I have 2/3 versus or compared to 5/6. I have 5/6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we could put them side by side to see which one is taller, because whichever one is taller would be the greater fraction. So we could look at them that way. That's one way to prove. You could use your coloring on your worksheet itself. That's a second way to prove. Or you could use your fraction strips. We could look at 2/3 would end about here. And then we're going to compare 5/6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those 6 pieces. So we're comparing 2/3 to 5/6. And you can see which one is longer. So if we were going to compare these two, looking at just our fraction blocks, 2/3 is less than or greater than 5/6. Well, there is less or shorter of an amount for the 2/3. So 2/3 is less than or smaller than 5/6. So the sign that goes in our circle is less than. And now we're going to move over to the next one, which is 1/2 is compared to 3/10. So again, you can, that's the second one on our worksheet. You can color those bars in on there, and then you can visually see the difference between 1/2 and 3/10 to see which one's bigger and which one's smaller. You could use the fraction blocks. So I have 1/2, and then I have 3/10. It's harder to see those, but there are 3/10. 1, 2, 3. So if we put them side by side, you can see that 1/2 is larger or greater than 3/10. So then we know which sign has to go in the circle. 1/2 is what compared to 3/10? Greater than. That's right. So we're going to put greater than in the circle. So we're just showing which one's bigger, which one's smaller. Remember, when you're doing less than and greater than, the mouth of the crocodile always eats the, you got it, the bigger number. And the little point of the sign, the point of the sign is pointing to the smaller number. So the mouth eats the bigger number, and the point is pointing to the smaller number. So in our fractions, it's going to eat the bigger fraction and point to the smaller fraction. So I'm going to pause it to get ready for the next activity. Okay, so now I have my board set up for the next activity. The second activity or second worksheet is also comparing fractions, and it looks like this. It's all fraction circles. And I thought I brought some fraction circles home with me, but apparently I did not. So we'll just do the best that we can. If you had fraction circle pieces, then you could used those by laying them on top of each other to compare the sizes, but I don't have those to show you. But there is something out there that you can do that. So fraction circles, in this particular case though, you can just color what it tells you to color. So the first example, letter A, says 4, 6 versus 5, 6. So you can color 4 pieces out of 5, color 4 pieces out of 6, color 5 pieces out of 6, and then see which one has the greatest amount of space colored in. So we're going to do that over here on the board. So I did create these first 2 examples. So we're gonna fill in the circle for 4, 6. How many pieces do we need to color in? Well, the numerator tells us. The numerator is the number 4. That's right. So we're going to color 4 pieces in. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that is 4, 6. Now we need to color in 5, 6. So let's do that now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now we're going to compare. Well, which circle has more space colored in? Well, the one on the right. That's right. So that has more space colored in than the one on the left. So that fraction, is that greater or smaller? Is more space considered greater or more space considered less than? Greater, that's right. So 5, 6 is greater than 4, 6, or 4, 6 is less than 5, 6. So we're going to put the less than sign in the circle. Now, if you had your fraction bars, you would compare. I would compare 4, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, to 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So which one is taller? The one on your right, over here. So 5, 6 is greater than 4, 6. 4, 6 is less than 5, 6. It's a smaller bar. It's a shorter bar. So it is less than the one on the right. If you wanted to use your fraction strips again, you would go to your row of 6s. 1, 2, 3, 4 would be shorter than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just like we showed you with the fraction bars. So again, you could look on your fraction strip paper and see that 4, 6 is less than 5, 6. Now, there is a trick. There's another trick. I know I told you a trick last week. We can multiply. Well, this is a little bit different trick. Look at these numbers. What do you see about our fractions? Look really closely at these 2 fractions. What do you see? Does anybody see it? What do we see? Well, they both have the same denominator, don't they? This has the 6 for a denominator, and this has a 6 for a denominator. Here's the rule, here's the trick. When the denominators are the same, so when they're both, in this case, both 6, all you have to do is look at the top number. Now we know, if we didn't look at the 6's at all, the denominators, we only look at the numerators, 4 versus 5. 4 is compared to 5. Is 4 less than 5 or is 4 greater than 5? We know, that's simple. That's previous stuff that we've learned. 4 is less than 5. So that's just another way to check yourself. When the denominators are the same, you can look at the top numbers only and know exactly what to do with your sign. In this case, 4 is less than 5. So let's go look over here at this next example. We have 3/4 versus 1/4, or 3/4 compared to 1/4. Well, let's just look at the top number, because the bottom number, the denominators are the same. They're both 4. So do we even need to do the rest of the work? No, but we will in just a minute to show the proof for our answer. So let's look at that again. Both the denominators are 4, so we could just ignore the 4's and look at the numerators, the top numbers. 3 as compared to 1. Was 3 less than 1? Or is 3 greater than 1? You're right, it's greater. So we can put greater than in that circle. Now we're going to prove it. Now we're going to do the work. So let's look at our circles. Let me choose a different color here. Let's use pink this time. So 3 out of the 4 pieces should be colored. Let's color 3 out of the 4. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, that's 3/4 of that circle is colored, which is what the fraction tells us to show. The other fraction says 1/4, so let's color 1/4. So now just looking at the pictures, not looking at the fractions themselves, which circle has more of the circle colored in? So if you were thinking of pizzas again, would you want this pizza that has 3 pieces? Or would you want that pizza that only has 1? Or in my case, chocolate cream pie. Chocolate cream pie, I want 3 pieces of chocolate cream pie, not just 1. So again, there are 3 pieces colored in, and you can visually see more of this circle is colored in than that one. So again, this circle in this fraction, 3/4, is greater than 1/4, just as we proved it there. So that is what you're going to be doing this week is comparing fractions, less than and greater than. And remember, you can always refer back to your fraction strips because you can prove it on there just like we proved it with a picture. Even when this paper is all circles, say for instance you don't have a way to print this paper out, you can still make rectangles, dividing the rectangles into those number of pieces and coloring it in. And you can still tell which one is greater and less than. Because as I told you last week, creating rectangles for fractions is a whole lot easier than creating circles. So hopefully you enjoyed this. I believe this is the last of our fractions. So we made it. Fractions are something that we always cover at the end of the year. And so hopefully you guys have a good grasp of them. And remember, you can always watch this video more than once. And if you have a question, don't be afraid to message me or have your parents message me, and we can communicate that way through class tag. So I hope you enjoyed the fractions that we've done the last 2 or 3 weeks. And next week and the week after, we're going to be working on charts and graphs. We have to be working on bar graphs and pictographs, line graphs, and the most important one, which you'll see on the M step in the future, is line plots. So we will spend the majority of our time probably on line plots because that is the one that you will see, but we will cover the other ones briefly just so that way you remember how to do those because you should have done them in the past. So it should just be review except for line plots. Line plots will be new. So that is our fraction information. There will be, again, comparing fractions Brain Pop Junior video. As long as there's one out there, it'll be on the Brain Pop Junior video slide. So please watch that video. That'll help you as well as my video that I showed you here. And again, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to message me through class tag. All right, I'll see you guys at our Zoom call on Wednesday. See you then.